I didn't lose her slowly. I lost her in a single realization: the rules were never about religion. They were about control. For 3 years, she kept me on a leash made of values. No sex before marriage. No sleeping over. No temptation. No weekends alone. No trips. No apartment keys. No private time that looked like a real relationship between adults. Every time I pushed back, she didn't argue like a partner. She corrected me like a teacher. She reminded me I was lucky, she was protecting me from sin, that she was testing whether I was husband material. I played along because I cared about her and because I thought patience meant love. I thought discipline meant commitment. I also thought consistency mattered, because she talked like she had a spine made of scripture. She'd quote verses, follow influencers, post purity content, and cry about how hard it is to stay strong, like she was carrying a cross for both of us. Meanwhile, she loved the benefits of a boyfriend. I paid for dinners. I fixed her car problems. I listened to her office drama. I was the safe man who showed up on time, stayed calm, and didn't embarrass her in front of her family. I was the man she could introduce without fear. I was the man who had to earn every inch while she collected certainty. Her family loved me, which made things worse. Her mom called me respectful. Her dad said I was serious. Her friends asked when I'd propose. I kept hearing the same line: she's rare. Don't mess it up. So I didn't mess it up. I swallowed my frustration, took cold showers, and told myself I was building something real. But the longer it went, the more it felt like my needs didn't exist. Not just sex. Everything. My time was always negotiable. My plans were always secondary. My boundaries were always immature. If I wanted to talk about the relationship, she'd say I was pressuring her. If I wanted clarity, she'd say I was making it transactional. If I wanted a timeline, she'd say marriage isn't a deadline and that I should trust God. The truth is, she loved the moral high ground. She loved having a reason that sounded noble while she got to set the terms. The moment I questioned it, she'd flip it. Suddenly I was the problem. Suddenly I was too physical. Suddenly I didn't respect her beliefs. She turned a normal adult conversation into a character test I always seemed to fail. Then her job changed everything. She got hired at a company that paid better and acted like it was a different universe. New coworkers. New lunches. New happy hours she said she didn't like, but somehow attended anyway. She started dressing differently. Not modest. Not conservative. Just sharper, tighter, more deliberate. The kind of change people pretend not to notice, even though it screams. There was one coworker she mentioned too often for a man who was just a colleague. She always called him by his first name like it was normal. I asked who he was. She said he was successful, ambitious, connected. She said it the way people talk when they're impressed but trying to look neutral. I didn't accuse her. I don't do paranoid boyfriend behavior. I watched patterns. I listened to the way her tone changed when his name came up. I noticed how she started guarding her phone like it was part of her body. I noticed how religious discipline became a speech she gave me at home, while her social calendar suddenly looked like a single woman's life. 2 months later, she hit me with the breakup like it was a scheduled appointment. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She didn't even look guilty. She used clean words and a calm voice, like she'd practiced in the mirror. She said we were not aligned. She said she felt spiritually stuck. She said she needed to choose peace. She said I deserved someone more compatible. I asked what changed. She said nothing changed. That was the first outright lie. I asked if there was someone else. She did that little offended face people do when they want you to feel ashamed for noticing reality. She said I was being disrespectful. She said I was letting insecurity speak. She said her faith mattered more than my suspicions. Then she stood up, picked up her purse, and left my apartment like she was leaving a meeting, not ending 3 years of my life. I didn't chase her. I didn't beg. I didn't send essays. I sat there with the silence and finally admitted the obvious: she kept me starving, not because she was pure, but because I was convenient. And 2 weeks after that breakup, I saw the first proof that the faith speech was nothing but a costume. It wasn't a rumor. It wasn't a friend's opinion. It was a photo she didn't know I'd see, one that made my stomach turn cold. Because the man she claimed was just a colleague wasn't standing next to her like a coworker. He was holding her like he owned her. And she looked like she'd been waiting for that moment the entire time. The photo wasn't even subtle. It wasn't one of those innocent group pictures that jealous people twist into drama. It was intimate. The kind of body language that only happens when the line is already crossed. I stared at it longer than I should have. Not because I missed her, but because my brain was trying to match 2 versions of the same person. The girl who lectured me about temptation. The girl who made me feel guilty for wanting normal affection. The girl who said God was watching. Now she was wrapped around a wealthy coworker like the rules never existed. I didn't text her. I didn't ask for closure. Closure is what liars offer when they want to control the final scene. I just watched what she did next. Within weeks, she started posting more. Restaurants that cost more than my weekly groceries. Business events that looked like nightlife. Weekend getaways. Private club vibes. She never named him at first, but she wanted everyone to know she had upgraded. She wanted that silent audience reaction, oh, so that's why she left. 2 months after the breakup, the truth became public because she got careless. Someone tagged her. His friends were showing off. And suddenly there it was, her and him at a hotel pool, sunglasses, champagne, his arm around her waist like he'd been doing it for a long time. 2 months. After 3 years of telling me, no, for religious reasons. If you think that kind of thing only hurts because of sex, you're missing the real damage. It's the rewrite. It's the realization that you weren't dating a person, you were dating a strategy. I felt stupid for about 10 minutes. Then I felt angry for about 10 more. After that, I felt something better, focus. I removed her from everything. Social media, shared contacts, photo archives. I stopped asking mutual friends about her. I stopped being the guy who still cares. I wasn't going to be her backup plan or her emotional recycling bin. If she wanted a new life, she could have it without my attention feeding it. And then I did the thing she never expected. I moved forward fast. Not by jumping into another relationship just to prove a point. I'm not that desperate. I moved forward by taking my energy back. I stopped spending money trying to impress someone who was always moving the goalposts. I started training again. I started sleeping like a normal human. I took on more responsibility at work, because I finally had the mental space to do it. I started traveling with friends, because I no longer had to negotiate my life with someone who acted like everything I wanted was sinful. A few months later, I met someone new through a friends group. No drama. No speeches. No moral performance. A straightforward woman who didn't treat affection like a weapon. We took things slow, but we didn't play games. She asked questions and listened to the answers. She didn't punish me for having needs. She didn't demand I prove loyalty by suffering. That contrast was brutal. It made the past look even worse. Meanwhile, my ex kept climbing her upgrade ladder. She became a regular at events that were obviously his world, not hers. She started talking differently, posting captions that sounded like money. She became allergic to her old friends, unless they could benefit her image. She acted like she had always belonged there, but anyone who knew her before could see she was performing. Then came the announcement, she was engaged. She didn't even try to be discreet. She posted a ring photo with perfect lighting. She posted the dinner. The city view. The designer bag placed just right in the frame. She wrote something about God's timing that nearly made me laugh out loud. God's timing. 3 years of refusing me, then sleeping with him 2 months after the breakup, then getting engaged like it was a fairy tale. I didn't comment. I didn't react. I didn't even hate watch. I just saw it, exhaled, and kept living. And that's when life did something funny. The moment I stopped caring, she started orbiting back. At first it was small. A mutual friend told me she asked about me. Another friend said she was curious how I was doing. Someone mentioned she looked annoyed when she saw a picture of me at a group dinner, sitting next to the woman I was seeing. Then the messages started. Not direct at first. A random, hey, at a late hour. A, hope you're well, with no reason. A reply to an old story of mine, like we were still friendly. Like she hadn't treated me like a waiting room for 3 years. I didn't answer. Silence is honest. Silence doesn't give them material. A week later, she tried again. This time it wasn't a casual, hi. It was a longer message. Still carefully written. Still trying to sound mature. She said she had been reflecting. She said she regretted how things ended. She said she missed my stability. She didn't say she missed me. She missed what I gave her. That message didn't make me sad. It made me alert. Because people who are happily engaged don't go digging for old boyfriends. So I asked one simple question, no emotion, no insults, no paragraphs. Why are you messaging me now? And the way she answered made it obvious something had gone wrong in her new, expensive life. I told her I wasn't interested in her lesson. I was interested in her choices. Then she got frustrated and dropped the mask for half a second. She said I was being cold. She said I was punishing her. She said I had changed. That part was true. I had changed. Not into a bitter man. Into a man who listens to actions and ignores speeches. I told her I had moved on. I told her I was dating someone. I didn't brag. I just stated reality. She reacted exactly how I expected, not with happiness for me, not with respect, but with irritation. Like my life was supposed to pause until she decided what she wanted. She started asking questions that were none of her business. Who is she? How serious is it? Does she know about us? Do I love her? The word love coming from her mouth felt like a cheap prop. I told her to stop. I told her she had made her choice. That's when she tried a different angle, one that showed how desperate she really was. She said she wanted to meet. She said she needed to talk in person. She said texting was too cold. She said she wanted me to remember who we were. Translation, she wanted access to my emotions. She wanted to see if she could still pull strings. I said no. Then she said something worse. She said she felt unsafe in her current relationship. She said she didn't know what to do. She said she trusted me more than anyone. That line was pure manipulation, dressed as vulnerability. She didn't trust me when she was using me. She trusted me now because she needed a rescue. I told her to talk to her family or a professional. I told her not to involve me. She went quiet for a day. Then the final message came, and it wasn't polite. It wasn't reflective. It was raw entitlement. She said, "So you're just going to let me marry him?" That's when I understood the real reason she had crawled back. She didn't want me, she wanted an exit. And she wanted me to build it. And I had one move that would end this completely, one move she would never forgive, and one move she would never see coming. That message, "So you're just going to let me marry him?" told me everything. She didn't contact me because she loved me. She contacted me because her new life wasn't comfortable anymore, and she needed a familiar tool. She needed the old me, patient, steady, willing to carry her consequences. I didn't insult her. I didn't curse. I didn't do drama. I just answered like an adult. "I'm not responsible for your engagement." She tried to twist it. She said I was acting like I didn't care about her safety. She said I was being cruel. She said I knew her better than anyone. She said we had history. History doesn't excuse disrespect. History doesn't erase what she did. History doesn't buy her a second chance on demand. Then I did something simple. I stopped treating her words as sacred and started treating them as evidence. I asked, "Did you sleep with him while we were together?" She avoided it. I asked, "Did you start talking to him before we broke up?" She avoided it again. I asked, "Did the religious rules apply to him?" She sent a long message that still didn't answer. She talked about emotional cheating, gray areas, spiritual battles, and not wanting to be judged. It was the same pattern as always, speak in big concepts so she doesn't have to admit the ugly specifics. So I ended the conversation. I told her I wished her well, and I meant it in the only way that mattered, far away from me. I thought that would be the end. It wasn't. She kept pushing. She called from a private number. She messaged from another account. She started contacting mutual friends, asking if I was happy, asking what I was doing, asking where I went on weekends, asking who I was with. That's not love. That's possession. And I was done being her possession. So I made one decision: no more private back and forth. No more secret channel where she could rewrite the story and make herself a victim. I didn't post a rant. I didn't expose bedroom details. I didn't try to humiliate her for entertainment. I did something cleaner and more effective. When a mutual friend asked me why I wasn't responding to her, I told the truth in one sentence. She made me wait 3 years for faith, moved on in 2 months with a rich coworker, and now she's contacting me while engaged. I'm not part of that. No insults. No exaggeration. Just facts. And facts travel faster than opinions. Within a week, the tone around her shifted. People stopped treating her engagement like a fairy tale. People started asking quiet questions. Not the kind you want around a wedding. Not the kind you want around a man with money and pride. Then she panicked. She sent me a message that finally sounded honest, not kind, not respectful, just honest. She said her fiancé found out she had been messaging me. She said he was furious. She said he called it embarrassing. She said he demanded to see everything. She said he didn't like the idea that she had loose ends. Now the irony was complete. The man she chose for status was treating her like a liability. The safe man she used was the one she wanted to run back to. And the religious reasons that controlled my life were suddenly irrelevant when her lifestyle was at risk. She asked me to help her smooth it over. She asked me to tell him she was just checking in. She asked me to confirm nothing happened. She asked me to protect her reputation. I stared at the message for a long time, not because I was tempted, but because it was the final proof of who she was. Even at her lowest, she wasn't asking for forgiveness. She was asking for a cover story. So I refused. I told her I wouldn't lie for her. I told her I wouldn't talk to her fiancé. I told her she created this situation by treating people like props and using morality as a shield when it suited her. Then she sent the last line, the one meant to stab. She said, "I knew you'd choose her over me." That sentence was supposed to trigger guilt. It didn't. It made me feel relief. Because she still believed she should be chosen, even after everything. She still believed the world owed her an escape route. I blocked her. Every number, every account, every pathway. Clean cut. And the next day, I got a message from a friend who worked in the same social circle as her fiancé. Just 5 words. The wedding might be off. I didn't celebrate. I didn't gloat. I didn't rush to watch the fallout. I just looked at my phone, thought about the 3 years I wasted, and realized the real win wasn't revenge. The real win was that she no longer had any access to me, right when she wanted it most.